All right. Here we are for another Dude Diligence. It's been a while, actually. I don't think I've done one of these in probably 3 weeks to a month. I thought I was going to do a bunch over Christmas, and that did not happen. Anyways, we're here today, and I'm here with my new friend. I'm going to pronounce your name as Jonas because I know some people that have the same spelling, but I don't want to guess actually because we haven't really spoken yet. We're just connecting for the first time. Um, but
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
really looking forward to having a chat with you. What I thought I'd say first is how I found you, and what sort of led me to reach out to you. So I have been consuming your Reiki videos like in playlists even. So I'll even play them at night. I put them on when I'm doing some qigong. Just there's a great vibe and energy, and in my experience, with intention and with when you get that energy from a source that you like and trust, because there's lots of stuff out there where people are sharing energy. Your stuff really, I just really like it and appreciate it, and it's amazing how many you do actually. The more I look, it's how many you've done is quite interesting. And then before you introduce yourself, just a bit of background for you. I was not in energy. I wouldn't have thought anything of Reiki 3 years ago. I would have said it was bullshit, and that's not at all how I feel now. So I want to preface that is just how fascinated I am about this, all of it. And so I just want to talk about your journey. I want to talk about Reiki, Kundalini, all the stuff. So maybe just if you could introduce yourself, a bit of background, how long you've been in this space. Like I don't know about you, but it seems like everyone I know that's in the spiritual space has some sort of like hit over the head by something, wake up kind of moment. So I'm always curious to hear
hmm
what others experience. So
Yeah, of course. Well, first off, thank you so much for
mhm.
having me. Um, I've been into Reiki for many years, and my name is Jonas
You
in Danish, Jonas Kristensen. But I'm used to being called Jonas, as I've always been very. Um, I've traveled some, and then I've also taken an international education. So I'm very used to people from abroad. Um, but my Reiki journey started maybe in my
Mhm.
20s, um, and I got initiated into Reiki by my master Richard Mudlock in 2018, and that's when I started, practicing for myself and also healing others. Um, and then I started my YouTube channels maybe 3 years ago, where I first off started with mantra videos and prayer stuff like that, and then that went okay, and then I started uh, my I would say main channel, which is Reiki Master Jonas
Mhm.
Kristensen, um, where I post all the videos that you're talking about. And for myself, I started experiencing the things that you're talking about several years ago when I found out about videos with morphogenetic fields and Reiki and subliminals and stuff like that, where I also got exposed to all of these things and started feeling the effects that it can have on
Mhm.
you in daily life. So I was very impressed, and it had like an incredible effect on my life. And then I thought, uh, if this was something that I could do for others, it would just be incredible. And I would also feel like I was serving others in the world, which is a privilege. Um, but to talk about my journey, where it all started off, and you also talked about people maybe feel like they get hitten over the head, or having that spiritual
Mhm.
awakening at some point. um, And actually, I was always, very, um, I wouldn't say atheistic, but very scientific, as most people are in when having a Western education. Um, but then in the start 20s, um, I worked at a ferry in a restaurant, and when I walked around at the tables, and at this point, I've never had any affiliation or experiences with anything spiritual other than going to church. And then I got around to a table, and at the table there was a old woman and an old man, and right away, when I approached the table to say hello, the old woman just grabbed me, and she said, and I never forget it. You are going to help a lot of people. She told
Hmm.
me, like in a very, almost. It felt like she was almost afraid or something, and I thought maybe this is some kind of loony or something, and I just smiled and thought it was very funny. But then I looked at her husband, and he looked very serious and down to earth, and and then I just started talking to her, and she told me that she was from something that you call Foundation Light. And looking back, I know exactly what this kind of group were practicing, and why she maybe had this experience with me. And you know for me, it was just like a pivotal moment that just activated me when I look back on it. And on that day, I just laughed at it and thought it was funny, but it stuck in my head. And then I think about 1 week or 2 weeks later, I found this guy online. Maybe you know him, and maybe your audience knows him. He's called Paul Selig, and he channels someone who he calls the guides, or they also call themselves
Hmm.
Melchizedek. And he in this video, he was like whispering, and he said in the video that he was channeling these higher entities. And I just thought it sounded crazy, but I just knew I had to have the book. And it was called I Am the Word. And this book talked about Christ consciousness and awakening to Christ consciousness. And I just read the book very fast, and you had to say specific affirmations, um, where they made you aware that this was going to activate you in a certain way. And when I started saying these affirmations, I remember lying in my bed and energy just flowing throughout my entire body. Um, and this was my first experiences with, you know, something akin to energy healing, or feeling energy flowing throughout my body. And ever since I read that one book, it was like I walked through a portal to my new life. Before that, I maybe read like 2 or 3 books in my life. And after I read this one book, I just consumed everything that I could find on spirituality and theosophy and astrology and energy healing and all those kinds of books that you call maybe alternative.
Well, sorry, what was the
Um,
name of the book again? I'm gonna.
it was called I Am the Word by Paul Selig.
Okay, thank you.
And that's like his first book. And he channels, as I said, some, you can call them entities, or higher consciousness or whatever, that he calls the guides. And he's channeled, I think maybe he's at book 7 or 8 or something. And he has a large audience all around the world. He's an American. um, and I've shared these books with several other people that I know, but it's funny that they haven't had the same experience as me. So I think also everybody is different, and everybody has their own experience of awakening. And for some, it's in meditation or receiving Reiki healing, or for other people, it's reading a specific book. And for me, this just popped me open and awakened me to to higher consciousness in my own way, or at least my own spiritual journey. So um, after that, I actually moved to the capital to study um, in Copenhagen, and this just gave me a chance and an opportunity because I'm from the mainland in Denmark. So I left my family and all my friends and all the people that I knew, and then I was in this totally different environment, um, where in the capital there's much more opportunity to find like-minded people and people who practice spirituality. So I started experimenting and checking out so many things. This was my stage of exploration, I would say. And then I got affiliated with something called Theosophical Society. I don't know if you or your audience have ever heard about theosophy,
A little
um,
bit.
but
Can you like what are the
yeah.
principles of theosophy?
Uh, my biggest inspiration is Alice Bailey, and she has written maybe some of the greatest occult works in some people's minds, um, which talks about esoteric philosophy and astrology, and also the rays. People have maybe heard about the seven rays, and also astrology, both exoteric astrology and also esoteric astrology, and also specifically the initiations of the human experience, where they talk a lot about the this. I don't know if you know about the spiritual masters that people often talk about. Jesus Christ and the most well knowns are maybe Buddha and Krishna and stuff like that. And they, in the Alice Bailey books, they talk about that these avatars are, examples of the initiations that people also go through, maybe in minor
Mhm.
stages. And these initiations are also something that I have found that I've experienced in my own life. Also, like you talked about with the Kundalini experience, which you can also use as a model of explanation of what kind of initiations you have to go through to achieve what people call enlightenment. So the chakras are a very good model to talk about these stages when the Kundalini rises up through the chakras. You have certain trials of initiation that you have to go through to reach this higher and higher level of consciousness. And this is also what Alice Bailey talks about. She talks about the seven initiations. Some people also talk about 12 initiations. Um, and I believe also, especially when you're on a very conscious journey spiritually, that people usually go through these initiations whether they know it or not. And people in daily life also go through initiations, um, going into adulthood or maybe having children can be a great initiation and an incredible learning experience, and also something that can be maybe sometimes shocking or a big trial in life. So yeah, this is one of my big inspirations, which taught me a lot about myself, and also what I want to focus on with spirituality, because Alice Bailey all talked a lot about what you might know as karma yoga, or service to
Mhm.
others, which is also a principle that I've always tried to practice in my
Nice.
spirituality, um, which is also why I thought Reiki was such an amazing modality um, and
Hmm.
practice. So after this, I started in Theosophical Society, and we based on service to others in this Theosophical Society, we do meditations, like big group meditations, where you sit in a big circle, and then you channel energy through your body in a meditative state, um, to heal the earth and heal humanity, and also receive healing yourself. And this was some of my first experiences with energy that just blew my mind, where you walked into a room and you just felt elevated and you felt love, and bliss just being in a room with these people. And it was, incredible. And, at first I felt so amazed and I just wanted to, tell everybody about it. Um, but then, I started realizing that people had to have something to relate to understand these experiences. And that's also why some people find it, a little weird. But finding this for me was just like a calling, or an epiphany, that just where I just realized that this was something that I wanted to dedicate my life
Hmm.
to. um, and I just kept going to these meditations and having these amazing healing experiences, and you know just going on this journey of self-discovery and healing, and healing my childhood and past trauma and all these things, which is very common when you start your spiritual journey. And then after some years I started practicing what uh, is called the Twin Hearts meditation by Master Choa Kok Sui. He's like a Philippine master healer. And I practice this meditation where you also channel energy through the crown chakra and in through the heart chakra, and then you send it out through your hands to the earth. And after practicing this meditation for some time, I had a Kundalini awakening where I felt, the Kundalini energy travel from my root chakra, which is, the common way it happens, and then up through the spine and out through my heart. And then I had like a heart opening experience. And, it was just indescribable and something that I never forget, because I just started, crying like a baby, and you just felt like this explosion of love in my heart, and just energy flowing in an incredible fashion down through my crown chakra. And I felt love for animals and people around the world, and what I would describe as a unity experience, where I just felt one with people and animals and everybody around the globe. And after this, I for several hours I felt like what I would describe as being ecstatic, or feeling like I was on ecstasy and just walking around praying, and maybe being a little too eccentric and stuff. And those were some years where everything was just maybe a little fanatic for me, because this was I was young, and these experiences were so
Hmm.
incredible, that it just blew my mind. And I was very fanatic, and I thought that this was what my life was going to be about. And I just had a feeling that I wanted to go to an island and sit and meditate and just achieve moksha and total liberation from everything that this world has to offer. But then, as time goes by, and I took my bachelor's degree, and then I took my master's degree afterwards. As time went by, I started becoming more grounded in these
And
experiences.
can I stop you there for a
Um,
second? What did you get your master's degree
yeah,
in?
of course.
Like, you didn't get it in Reiki, right? It was because Reiki is a different certification or process, right? So what
Yeah,
did you go to
exactly.
school for?
So my bachelor's degree is it's called Global Nutrition and Health, and that's very focused on nutrition, coaching, interventions in health, and also health
Mm.
science. And then I took my master's degree at Aarhus University in health science specifically, with a focus on rehabilitation. And it's very, research oriented, and I wrote my thesis about stroke and fractures after stroke, where I made a big register study about over 100,000 people in Denmark. Um, and I published my thesis, and I also went to a conference to present my results. And I've always been very interested in health and a bit of a health nut as well. Um, and then meanwhile, I took this Reiki certification because, as I just talked about, I had this on the side, and it's always been something that uh, I've hidden within myself to a certain degree. I love to talk about it, but also I talk about it when the time is right and when I feel like people are receptive.
Mhm.
Um,
Well,
so I
sorry, a question
also.
on that because you're getting detailed there, and I think it's really interesting. Um,
Mhm.
that big Kundalini experience that you had, that was before you started doing Reiki, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Because
exactly.
like it's interesting, like from where I've come from and what's going on for me, I think the Reiki led to Kundalini for me. So it's just interesting, like how it all intersects. It's all energy at the end of the day, and the Satsuma and Christ consciousness
Exactly.
and all of it.
Yeah,
But okay, so that's cool. So keep going. Sorry.
exactly. And a lot of people also talk about that they have their Kundalini experience when with Reiki or healing. And for me, I believe that my Kundalini experience was activated because of service to others. Because this is also something that I've read several times, that this is one of the most powerful spiritual practices. And Kundalini or Kundalini syndrome, call it what you will, it can be activated by so many things. Maybe it's a spiritual experience or a traumatic experience, or also something related to something ecstatic or even sexual. And my experience, I'm very certain, was because I practiced so much healing, and not only healing myself, but as I talked about in Theosophical Society, and doing this pranic healing practice, Twin Hearts meditation, was all something that I did to heal the world and heal others. And this is what made it, release within me, I believe. Which is also why this is a path that I recommend so much, because people also get very confused at times on their spiritual path. And I believe that in the end, if you walk the path of spiritual evolution, you will always get to a point where you learn a craft, and then you give it away. You help other people with what you've learned, be it wisdom, or be it healing, or qigong, or yoga, or
Hmm.
whatever. Um, so
Yeah,
that's
it needs to be heart centered, right? It's people
yeah.
want money and pay bills and have worries and fears, but if that's driving
Hmm.
the energy that you're putting out, if that's the source of it, then nobody's really benefiting. So it's basically I've wrestled with the word having trust or having faith, and for a long time I really struggled with the word faith because I attached that to organized religions, and I was so disappointed with anyone I ever met from any organized religion. There was always like just I was like bullshit, 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 bullshit. Once I developed a spiritual connection, it's like it has nothing to do with that. All of these organizations at some point started with this is how you get your shit together, mind, body, and spirit, and then with that you're having a consciousness raising, and these
Hmm.
organized religions ultimately at some point got screwed up. Money here, support there,
Mm.
and then it just gets diluted, 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 and by the time in 2025, it's just a hot mess of a lot of garbage in a lot of places and people confused, right? So, but the intention
Yeah,
was
definitely.
this, right? Like it's funny. I do a
Hmm.
lot of YouTubing on this topic lately, and like even I don't know how big Santa Claus is over there, but the idea of Santa coming down the chimney and into the fire, apparently that origin
Hmm.
story is more about like going from the root up. Like it's all about it
yeah,
actually, even the idea of Santa Claus, but now it's just presents and stress about holidays and money and booze, But I mean, like even
yeah,
at one point had a completely different purpose and principle, and just got distorted like so much time.
definitely.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Um, in your, I have so many questions about everything, but in the bio that you sent me, you also mentioned hypnosis, and like for me, it's all interrelated as well. And when you introduced yourself in the beginning,
Hmm.
you mentioned affirmations, right? So this idea of clean language,
Hmm.
or planting the positive in the un or subconscious, and then hypnosis. So was hip I know for me, I was on a hypnosis course almost 2 years ago, and it took a while to feel like I could hypnotize someone, or that there was hypnosis going on. But once it hit,
Mm.
that was an interesting moment. And then at the time, my the other student that we were doing an exercise, it was called the frozen glove technique. And it was the first time
Hmm.
that I actually could sense and feel energy in my body. So he had taken me into a deep hypnosis, and the idea was you're going to build up the idea that your hand is in a frozen snowbank and it's getting colder and colder. And then you use your mind to send the energy over here. And everywhere you send the energy, it doubles. And so by the time he
Hmm.
had guided it to my left foot, which I had problems with for 12 years, like the doctors told, like it had every scan, I had this foot pain, it was all phantom stuff. And I'd looked
Hmm.
into it in the metaphysical, and I felt like I was getting close. But in this hypnosis, he sent the cold energy to my foot, and I came out of the hypnosis, and like 2 hours later, the pain was gone. Like we're talking a pain that was there for 12 years was
Yeah.
so gone that I was like leaving the class and going to a drum clinic, and I was in the Uber, and I had not realized that my left foot, these three toes, were always together because they were supporting where it was sore on my foot. So it built like a habit of being so. I'm in this Uber after this hypnosis, and these toes are like dancing around like they were free spirits. Like it was just the weirdest thing. So all of a sudden, I was like I've healed myself, right, with this cold energy. And then it was
Yeah.
just so cool because then the next problem was now my hips hurt. Now my back hurt because my whole walk gait changed. Like it was that pronounced of a fix. It
Hmm.
was like I had, like just completely had the world's craziest chiropractic engage, just and all of a sudden my whole body was like it was a new body. It was so and so to me, there's a question in here other than my ramble is that I really connected the physical and mental energy together at that point. Like I could feel that
Mm.
chi, right? I'd never
Mm.
known what that was before. I to me it was just like hair
Mm.
standing up my it was a splenic
Napoleon, don't be jealous that I've been chatting
awareness.
online with babes
Sorry.
all day. Napoleon, don't be jealous that I've been chatting online with babes all day. Napoleon, don't be
Trying
jealous that I've
to
been.
send to voicemail. Thank you. Sorry. I thought I tried.
No worries.
What were
No
we talking
worries.
about? Oh, this frozen glove thing. So I had like no connection to that. And to me now, like that spirit, that energy, that chi, like that is God's spirit,
Mm.
whatever, right? Like it's the dark matter. I mean, the more I think about it, it's
Yeah.
just it doesn't really matter what you call it, chi, prana, dark matter, like whatever. It's what you can't see, but you know it's
Yeah.
there, and you can give and take with it in
Mm.
vibration, right? So did you
Exactly.
always feel that physical connection, or that was when it was that Kundalini moment where that kind of happened?
For me, I actually think it was a process, and it still is a process because I felt through spiritual practice and all this energy work that gradually my energy sensitivity has just become better and better and better. Because at first I felt like you're talking about, maybe it was a very physical experience, or you could feel something uh, at specific points within the body or something, when you had like an energy experience where, as especially when I became a Reiki healer and I got the higher and higher initiations, and I practiced for some years, I feel like my whole body and my whole system has gradually become like an energy channel. And I feel like also when I do my Reiki videos and I do Reiki healings, I feel like it's a full body experience now when energy flows through me. Whereas maybe 5 to 10 years ago, it was more like a very thin channel in my body and maybe throughout my hands or stuff like that. And I think it's both a process in the physical body, but it's also a process of the mind, realizing that this is possible, and, changing your belief systems and changing your subconscious mind about what's possible and what's not possible. Um, and this is, something that takes time, I think, or at least it was for me. Both practicing energy healing and also reading about it, and exposing my mind and my consciousness to all these sources of information and different authorities saying that, maybe these things that people tell you are not possible, it is actually possible. And you know then I slowly transformed uh, my vehicle, or this vessel, into something different than it was many years ago, and I truly and wholeheartedly feel that. And to talk about what you asked about, hypnosis. Um, I also had experiences with hypnosis and subliminal affirmations, specifically on YouTube at first, where I tried different hypnosis videos, and I both felt like going into these deeper states of consciousness, like um, delta or theta state, and then feeling more susceptible to these suggestions that I exposed myself to. And like you talked about, I had profound experiences where um, these suggestions changed um, you know what I felt like was my reality, but it's also just the programming, making you experience your world around you and yourself in a certain way. And I found this very, very interesting. And I actually, my first like big experience was, I went to a hypnotherapist and had like what you would call a past life
Mm.
regression. And she took me down, to a very deep state of hypnosis, and took me through what uh, you could maybe say was, past life experiences. I'm not sure at all, because I just saw these things in my mind, and I couldn't say if it was my past lives or not. But I certainly had some great experiences doing this hypnosis, um, and it just put me on this path where I also created my own YouTube channel about hypnosis, which is called Hypno
Mm.
Guru.
All right.
And I started combining subliminals or hypnosis with Reiki energy. So I embed the videos with Reiki energy and also subliminals, which are both targeted to a specific goal or experiences. For example, if you want to heal your body, I make a video where it's filled with energy with the intention of healing your body, as well as subliminal suggestions or affirmations, which convince your subconscious mind to heal uh, the body by itself. Um, and I really believe, and I have experienced, that there is incredible untapped power in this subconscious mind. And there's so many books about this topic, and people can really achieve incredible things by using the subconscious mind. Um, and also Reiki, of course, for that matter. And I've always been, a person who's very evolutionary uh, focused. I want to um, achieve things using these different healing modalities and hypnosis and stuff like this. Because a lot of times Reiki, for example, is used, to heal and to calm down and get rid of stress. But I believe, which you can also see on my YouTube channels, that um, Reiki and hypnosis can be used for so many more things. You know, for achieving goals and manifesting various things. And that's also why you talked about me having produced a lot of videos, because I really try to make Reiki available in all areas of life. Make it focused on every single specific thing that people might want to achieve or experience. Um, so I can provide them with this, I would say, technique or tool to achieve this specific thing.
That's awesome. I mean, I did notice that you even had them in different languages. I think I saw German or Spanish
Yeah,
or something. I can't remember because I don't speak either. But I remember seeing the channel.
well, yeah. To explain about my YouTube channels, I have my first channel was it's called Divine Manifester, uh, Mantra Music and Reiki Healing. um, and that's about mantras, both Hindu mantras and Hebrew mantras, and also I've made Reiki videos on that YouTube channel as well, and prayers, and also done some stuff on magic as
Mm,
well. And then I created my specific Reiki channel, which is called Reiki Master Jonas Kristensen. um, and this is only remote energy healing, where I provide healing for people around the world. And then I've created a channel for hypnosis and subliminal affirmations combined with Reiki, and that's called Hypno Guru. And then I've made channels in both Spanish and Hindi and also Chinese, um, which is all those three channels are also focused on Reiki healing, because I really feel like this is something that can help so many people. And by now, something I feel like makes sense so much for me, why I'm doing this is, when you check the statistics on the channel, for example, my Reiki channel, I think it's something like uh, a watch time about 7 to 8 years or something of constant energy healing. And when I compare that to doing energy healing one session at a time for 1 hour for some client, it just this is just much more incredible, I think, because if at some point I'm going to reach a stage where I've healed for more hours than I've actually lived my life, is something that just blows my mind, and that's why one of the reasons why I really love social
mm,
media, because you can use it to reach so many
mhm.
people in a good way.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'll have to check out the Hypnoguru stuff. I did see it and I didn't quite understand what it was at the time, but it was in passing. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, and a couple things. Like, thank you for doing that. And like from my perspective, um, I can I can sense, I can feel the energy. It feels good. Everything that I've seen you do has been with
Mm,
integrity. Because there's a lot of stuff out on YouTube. Like, if you just search for Reiki, you're gonna get whatever energy that person's putting out. And I think everyone
of course.
ultimately has positive intentions, but not everything is from that heart space. It's more like I learned how to do Reiki, and now I charge for it. And that's the unfortunate part,
Yeah.
right? I need money. I need to. We're trying to figure out our own finance problems here, but I keep the whole idea of, it's a real balance having that faith, but
Mm,
it keeps working. The more positive energy
Mm.
I emit, the more it comes back, which makes it worth it. And
Mm.
so I imagine that's how it
Yeah.
feels for you too, right? Like you that that heart opening thing that you described. I feel like I had
Mm.
one about 4 days ago. Not quite as significant as you made it sound, but the way you described it, it was like there was like a bullet
Mm.
went through my chest. Like it literally was like an opening where it was just like. And the funny thing is that day, I sneezed that night, and I've done so much work on my psoas lately. Like my back was like I just didn't have proper breath from the root all the way up. So I've been cleaning up my psoas.
Mm.
I have whatever this heart opening thing is. I sneeze, and the sound that came out of my throat was that of like a opera singer, and it was like at such a range. It wasn't like a sneeze shriek. It was like there was something that just blew open, like quite literally. It was like
Yeah.
laser shot through and opened stuff up. It was crazy. My wife was laughing because the sound was not anything she heard before, So like it's just profound, the energy. Like when you talk about what you feel,
Yeah.
I know what you, but I
Mm.
would have had a very hard time believing that not that long ago, years
Yeah,
ago.
of course.
So it's exciting, right?
And I totally, yeah, exactly. And I totally understand that people, when they hear a lot about this stuff, and, when I'm talking to you right now, I just open up and, completely let it all out. But for some people, if they've never had any experience like this, it just sounds like loony, because it's too much. It's just something that they're not used to. But I believe what I recommend to people, starting out with spirituality or wanting to have these kind of experiences, is that it's about spiritual practice and not about um, reading books, because religion and spiritual seekers, they often spend so much time reading literature and talking about what's right and what's the truth. And um, I believe much more in an approach where you focus your energy on practicing spirituality, because it's the same as taking up a new sport. You can't expect to get good at something if you do it for a week, or you try it for an hour, and then you're like, okay, I can't play football because I didn't score 10 goals in my first football
Hmm.
match. And I believe what you seek you shall find. So if you keep focusing on, searching for these spiritual experiences, and, putting your intention on it, and maybe praying for it and seeking it out in conversations, and seeking out people who have had these experiences with an open mind and inviting it in, then gradually you will have these greater and greater experiences. Because when you compare it to getting good or getting proficient in a certain field of, for example, science, or a profession or anything, um, it's the same. You go through school, then you take a bachelor's degree, then you take a master's degree, and maybe in the end even a PhD, and then you really have achieved something in the end that you can call mastery, or really having expertise in a field. And I think it's the same with spirituality. So true dedication really reaps incredible rewards if people are willing to put in the discipline and dedication to, studying and practicing the craft of
Hmm.
spirituality.
Yeah, it's to me it seems insane, but just knowing where I was a couple of years ago, like it really is like you need to take
Mm.
care of your physical body. So what you put into it and how you treat it and respect it. And then there's some mind cleanup, there's
Mm.
trauma. But like if it's all in balance, then you're centered, you're making decisions in a place coming from your core values and your integrity. And so at that point, it's
Mm.
are the decisions I'm making in my life um, aligned with my spirit? And if they are,
Mm.
then I output better and so on. And the magic starts to happen. And like to
Mm.
me, it seems like Reiki is magic. It's science that what was it? How does that phrase go? It's magic is just science that hasn't been proven yet. And so like Reiki feels
Yeah.
like magic, right? But you get enough people talking about it like
Mm.
this and going like, dude, I know exactly what you're talking about. And I can start to
Yeah.
pinpoint where in my life it started to switch on. So like I want to tell you
Mm.
how the very first time that I even had an inkling about a connection with spirit source energy was actually like 20 years ago. And at the time it was just one of those, weird. But I had a cramp. I used to get a cramp in my left calf. And so that leg, if someone touched my left calf, you could have I probably might have kicked you. Like it was just always like so close to being cramped. And this is for years. Just uncomfortable. And
Mm.
I'd wake up in the middle of the night with a cramp. And I read everything about cramps, eat more bananas, drink more water, all that stuff, but it wasn't going away. So my mom suggested I
Mm.
connect with this old Chinese guy in town. And this is 20 years ago, so he was probably 85 at the time. And I go into this little room, and there's just, a table, some candles, and he has me, I'm pretty sure, stripped down to my underwear. And then he's going to do acupressure. And so he's standing beside my head, and he's just playing with my ear. And for this is like for
Mm.
5 or 10 minutes. And so I'm like, maybe you don't understand. I said it was my calf, like I'm like, what do you do with my ear, right? And he's like, no, it's good, it's good. And he just keeps going with the ear. And then he's like, okay. And I'm sure he said something like, take a breath. And then he just twisted my ear, and my left calf like deflated like a balloon. And at that point, I was like, what
Wow.
just happened, right? Like it was incredible. But then I did nothing with that
Mm.
information for 15 years. You know what I mean? Like it was just like, oh, that's weird. But honestly, I think that was the first time that I was like, holy shit! Like, there's because I wasn't open to the idea, but it still took years,
Mm.
and then since then it's just been like an avalanche. It's
Yeah.
intense, but it has to start from that first spark where you're like I remember that, and then get curious about that and go
Mm.
back and I think that's what led to the hypnosis. And when you were talking about hypnosis earlier, like I definitely find that hypnosis and affirmations compound with interest, right? Like when I listen to
Mm.
a hypnosis track for a particular thing I'd like to improve upon, I'm realizing that doing it a second time or doing it 2 weeks later is compounding. Like it's actually increasing in power. It's almost like reminders.
Mm.
Um, and I did one recently, and it was on um, claustrophobia. And I didn't really think I had claustrophobia. I wouldn't have said I was someone like that. But I definitely didn't
Mm.
like being in elevators for too long. Like as soon as I could get out of the elevator, I was happy. And I always remember thinking, I couldn't imagine going to space, like being in a capsule or being on Mars, right? I just like it was like no way I could
Mm.
ever do that. Well, a couple of weeks ago, I do this claustrophobia hypnosis because I thought, we're all probably a little bit of everything. So even if I don't think I've got claustrophobia, I'm going to try it. I did this hypnosis, and my chest just like blew open, and like you know what I mean, because I just needed to accept that there was possibility that there was a bit of a fear there. So even that, something I didn't
Mm.
think I needed to fix, ended up having a huge chest opener for me. And ever since then, I could go to Mars. I guess, if it was a cool project and the food was good, I could imagine like I
Mm.
couldn't imagine that before. There was no way I would have considered that. And now I still don't like to. I like it much
Yeah.
better here, but it doesn't it's not an immediate no. So just even something like that. So I've
Mm.
been like looking for new hypnosis things like, oh, what else can I tweak, right? Like you just kind of get in there with a screwdriver now, just
Yeah.
kind of like making little.
Exactly.
So have you done some hypnosis videos that are on your channel? I think that's what Hypno Guru would be.
Yeah, mostly by now I've done the subliminal videos where I would say it is hypnosis. It's not in a traditional sense where you take people through this kind of experience or a journey through going deeper and deeper into a certain state of consciousness. and after that they receive the messages into their subconscious mind. But this is more like um, there's specific sounds and specific music that brings people into the delta or theta state of consciousness. And then when you have the subliminals uh, embedded in the music, which is very low volume, then your subconscious mind picks up on these
Mhm.
subliminals. And then people, start being affected by these subliminal affirmations um, for their own benefit. And that's the kind of hypnosis videos that I've done on Hypnoguru so far. Um, I also want to say that my phone is running out of
Oh, okay.
battery soon.
Yeah.
So just to have a smooth
Okay.
conclusion here, that it doesn't just go out.
Yeah. Well, if you got a couple,
Um, I'm at let.
if you have a couple more minutes, I'd like to, yeah, make sure I don't end up cutting you right off. And I'd love to keep
Yeah,
talking afterwards. I'd love to compare notes. Like I think we can. I've got some things I've learned and tried that you might be interested in if you want to continue experimenting. Because
yeah,
one
that
of the
would be awesome.
things that I've done really recently is you're probably familiar with Bashar, right? Daryl Anka, and he does channeling. I don't know if you've seen the
Yeah,
15 minutes
definitely.
of sacred geometry that he downloaded. I guess it's like from 11 years ago. And so it's a shape that you focus on for 1 minute and then it switches to the next. And it starts with like balance and it's a various states, right? And it's really
Mm,
interesting sacred geometry. Like it immediately resonated for me, got me into like a really deep sort of not trance, but so the idea, so what I've been doing is I look at that. I put a playlist of your Reiki on, depending on where I want to go with that visual meditation. So, like, if I'm going to go play pickleball,
mm,
I've got like sports performance or whatever, and like
mm,
talent, right? Like, because my intention is to focus my energy and my intention, and I want to get that Reiki energy and that plus the visual coordination. And then because it's giving you a bunch of
mm-hmm,
shapes, because it's basically like lines and circles. And so I imagine the circles as that's where I'm going to focus my energy. So the very first one is in fact a circle in the middle. So I'm focused here and everything else is loose. And then the next shape.
mm.
And it's awesome. Like and so doing a bit of qigong with it. So like doing the five elements wood and I need to like videotape it and turn it into something because it might be kind of like its own thing of just combining like a mad scientist to
Yeah, of
this.
course.
Yeah.
You should go for it, man. I love, creating things, and also, love sharing them. And if you feel there's something to go on, just take the leap, man. And I've also always experienced when I want to do something, also using these energy modalities or doing YouTube, just start off. And if what you create in the beginning is crap, then you just create some more and it just gets better and better and better, and you learn along the
Mhm.
way. That's something that always worked for me. And if you feel like you have, something that's genius that you want to share, you know, go for it,
Mhm.
man.
Yeah, no, there's a couple of things that are just they're shortcuts that seem to be combining all these beautiful things together. So yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm at
okay.
4% now of
Probably
battery,
probably
so
sign this one off. But yeah, let's stay in touch. I'd love to talk more if you've got some time sometime. So
of course, man,
well,
I'd love
hang
to.
tight here for a second. I'll make this look all professional by doing the outro video, but don't leave yet, okay? All right.
Mm,
So
of
goodbye,
course.
live cast.